Affection, Deleuze. What is an affection? Affecto. I see your faces literally fall. Yet this is all rather amusing. At first sight, and to stick to the letter of Spinoza's text, this has nothing to do with an idea, but it has nothing to do with an affect either. Affect, affectus, was determined as the continuous variation of the power of acting. An affection is what? In a first determination, an affection is the following. It's a state of a body insofar as it is subject to the action of another body. What does this mean? I feel the sun on me, or else a ray of sunlight falls upon you. It's an affection of your body. What is an affection of your body? Not the sun, but the action of the sun, or the effect of the sun on you. In other words, an effect or the action that one body produces on another. Once it's noted that Spinoza, on the basis of reasons from his physics, does not believe in action at a distance, action always implies a contact, and is even a mixture of bodies. Affecto is a mixture of two bodies, one body which is said to act on another, and the other receives the trace of the first. Every mixture of bodies will be termed an affection. Spinoza infers from this that affecto, being defined as a mixture of bodies, indicates the nature of the modified body, the nature of the affectionate or affected body. The affection indicates the nature of the affected body much more than it does the nature of the affecting body. He analyzes his famous example. I see the sun as a flat disk situated at a distance of 300 feet. That's an affecto, or at very least the perception of an affecto. It's clear that my perception of the sun indicates much more fully the constitution of my body, the way in which my body is constituted, than it does the way in which the sun is constituted. I perceive the sun in this fashion by virtue of the state of my visual perceptions. A fly will perceive the sun in another fashion. In order to preserve the rigor of this terminology, Spinoza will say that an affecto indicates the nature of the modified body rather than the nature of the modifying body, and it envelopes the nature of the modifying body. I would say that the first sort of ideas for Spinoza is every mode of thought which represents an affection of the body, which is to say the mixture of one body with another body, or the trace of another body on my body, will be termed an idea of affection. It's in this sense that one could say that it is an affection idea, the first type of ideas. And this first type of ideas answers to what Spinoza terms the first kind of knowledge, connaissance, the lowest. Why is it the lowest? It's obvious that the lowest because these ideas of affection know, connaissance, things only by their effects. I feel the affection of the sun on me, the trace of the sun on me. It's the effect of the sun on my body, but the cause is that which is my body, that which is the body of the sun, and the relation between these two bodies such that the one produces a particular effect on the other rather than something else. Of these things I know, see, absolutely nothing. As long as I remain in the perception of affection, I know nothing of it. One could say that an affection ideas are representations of effects without their causes, and it's precisely these that Spinoza calls inadequate ideas. These are ideas of mixture separated from the causes of the mixture. You understand the difference between a notion idea and an affection idea. A notion idea is inevitably adequate since it's a knowledge, connaissance, by causes. Spinoza not only uses the term notion here to qualify the second sort of idea, but he also uses the term common notion. The word is quite ambiguous. Does it mean common to all minds? Yes and no. It's very meticulous in Spinoza. In any case, don't ever confuse a common notion and an abstraction. He always defines a common notion like this. It's the idea of something which is common to all bodies, or to several bodies, at least two, and which is common to the whole and to the part. Therefore, there surely are common notions which are common to all minds, but they're common to all minds only to the extent that they are first the idea of something which is common to all bodies. Therefore, these are not at all abstract notions. There are also common notions which designate something common to two bodies or to two souls. For example, someone I love. Once again, the common notion is not abstract. It has nothing to do with species or genera. It's actually the statement, énoncé, of what is common to several bodies or to all bodies, or since there's no single body which is not itself made up of several, one can say that there are common things or common notions in each body. In effect, the fact that, at the level of affection, ideas, we have only inadequate and confused ideas as well understood. For what are affection? Ideas in the order of life, and doubtless, alas, many among us, who have not done enough philosophy live only like that? Only once, Spinoza employs a Latin word, which is quite strange but very important, or cursus. Literally, this is the encounter. To the extent that I have affection, ideas, I live chance encounters. I walk in the street, I see Pierre, who does not please me. It's the function of the constitution of his body and his soul and the constitution of my body and my soul. Someone who displeases me, body and soul. What does that mean? I would like to make you understand why Spinoza has had such a strong reputation for materialism, even though he never ceases to speak of the mind and the soul, a reputation for atheism, even though he never ceases to speak of God. It's quite curious. One sees quite well why people have said that this is purely materialistic. When I say, this one does not please me, that means literally that the effect of his body on mine, the effect of his soul on mine, affects me disagreeably. It is the mixture of bodies or mixture of souls. There is a noxious mixture or a good mixture as much at the level of the body as that of the soul. But what is a body? The theory of what a body or even a soul is, which comes down to the same thing, is found in Book 2 of the Ethics. For Spinoza, the individuality of a body is defined by the following. It's when a certain composite or complex relation of movement and rest is preserved through all the changes which affect the parts of the body. It's the permanence of a relation of movement and rest through all the changes which affect all the parts, taken to infinity, of the body under consideration. You understand that a body is necessarily composite to infinity. My eyes, for example, my eye and the relative constancy of my eye are defined by a certain relation of movement and rest through all the modifications of the diverse parts of my eye, but my eye itself, which already has an infinity of parts, is one part among the parts of my body. The eye in its turn is a part of the face, and the face in its turn is a part of my body, etc. Thus you have all sorts of relations which will be combined with one another to form an individuality of such and such degree. But at each one of these levels of degrees, individuality will be defined by a certain relation composed of movement and rest. What can happen if my body is made this way? A certain relation of movement and rest which subsumes an infinity of parts. Two things can happen. I eat something I like, or else another example, I eat something and collapse poisoned. Literally speaking, in the one case I had a good encounter, and in the other I had a bad one. All this is the category of a cursus. When I have a bad encounter, this means that the body which is mixed with mine destroys my constituent relation, or tends to destroy one of my subordinate relations. For example, I eat something and get a stomach ache which does not kill me. This has destroyed or inhibited, compromised one of my sub-relations, one of the relations that compose me. Then I eat something and I die. This has decomposed my composite relation. It has decomposed the complex relation which defined my individuality. It hasn't simply destroyed one of my subordinate relations which composed one of my sub-individualities. It has destroyed the characteristic relation of my body. And the opposite happens when I eat something that agrees with me. Spinoza asks, what is evil? We find this in his correspondence, in the letters he sent to a young Dutchman, who was as evil as can be. This Dutchman didn't like Spinoza and attacked him constantly, demanding of him, tell me what you think evil is. You know that at that time letters were very important, and philosophers sent many of them. Spinoza, who is very good-natured, believes at first that this is a young man who wants to be taught, and little by little he comes to understand that this is not the case at all, that the Dutchman wants his skin. From letter to letter, the good Christian Blenberg's anger swells, and he ends by saying to Spinoza, but you are the devil. Spinoza says that evil is not difficult. Evil is a bad encounter. Encountering a body which mixes badly with your own. Mixing badly means mixing in conditions such that one of your subordinate or constituent relations is either threatened, compromised, or even destroyed. More and more gay, wanting to show that he is right. Spinoza analyzes the example of Adam in his own way. In the conditions in which we live, we seem absolutely condemned to have only one sort of idea, affection ideas. By means of what miracle could one move away from these actions of bodies that do not wait for us in order to exist? How could one rise to a knowledge, connaissance, of causes? For the moment, we see clearly that all that is given to us is ideas of affection, ideas of mixture. From the moment, we see clearly that since birth we have been condemned to chance encounters. So things aren't going well. What does this imply? It already implies a fanatical relation and reaction against Descartes, since Spinoza will affirm strongly in Book 2 that we can only know, connaître, ourselves, and we can only know external bodies by the affections, and the external bodies produce our own. For those who can recall a little Descartes, This is the basic anti-Cartesian proposition, since it excludes every apprehension of the thinking thing by itself. That is, it excludes all possibility of the cogito. I only ever know the mixtures of bodies, and I only know myself by way of the action of other bodies on me, and by way of mixtures. This is not only anti-Cartesian, but also anti-Christianity. And why? Because one of the fundamental points of theology is the immediate perfection of the first created man, which is what's called in theology the theory of Adamic perfection. Before he sinned, Adam was created as perfect as he could be. So then the story of his sin is precisely the story of the fall. But the fall presupposes an Adam who is perfect insofar as he is a created thing. Spinoza finds this idea very amusing. His idea is that this isn't possible. Supposing that one is given the idea of a first man, one can only be given this idea as that of the most powerless being, the most imperfect that there could be, since the first man can only exist in chance encounters, and in the action of other bodies on his own. Thus, in supposing that Adam exists, he exists in a mode of absolute imperfection and inadequacy. He exists in the mode of a little baby who is given over to chance encounters, unless he is in a protected milieu. But I've said too much. What would that be, a protected milieu?